past 2-year period has encompassed the COVID era. And obviously the impact of that on well-being is very well documented, particularly when it comes to people on international assignment. So the effect of being in lockdown, not having access to your friends and family, restrictions on your personal freedom, we all know that's very impactful. But when you put that into an assignment context, everything is amplified. So people on assignments during this period have had to cope with not only being in a lockdown situation, but potentially being unable to leave the country that they're in because of border closures, immigration restrictions, and even very little things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, like attitudes to mask wearing and disease transition can be very different from one culture to another. And again, that has an impact on mental health and well-being. So I think companies have become a lot more empathetic, a lot more alive to those issues, and we're seeing that across the board. There is an increased focus on employee well-being generally, but particularly in an assignment situation because those issues are amplified. Crown moved very quickly during and post the pandemic to address these issues. And we started to look at this from a holistic perspective. So what could we do to give assignees the tools that they need to thrive in a new location under these conditions? We looked specifically at our global skills area, and we took a human-centric approach. And what that means essentially is putting the assignee as a person first. So not as an employee, not as a resource or an agent of work, but looking at what does this person as an individual need in order to thrive in the new location. We looked at human centricity from the perspective of global skills and ensuring that people are prepared for an assignment before they've even left to go on assignment. So typically cultural training is something that you would do post-arrival. So you get to the host location, you're immersed in that culture, you're exposed to all those differences and all those changes, and everything's very strange and confusing. And then you do your cultural training to help you adapt and help you focus. What we do now is we bring that training forward to pre-departure. So we can do that training remotely prior to someone leaving the host location, so that they can mentally prepare themselves and emotionally prepare themselves for some of the differences that they're going to encounter when they go on assignment. And that really speaks to those issues of well-being, because if you are mentally and emotionally prepared, obviously you're going to have that greater sense of well-being, and that transition to the new host culture is going to be much smoother. The world that we live in now, the modern world, is so fast-moving, volatile, fast-changing, and very, very globalized. Most people in their working life will deal with people from other cultures in other countries. So having that awareness of cultural differences and the skills to navigate that is very important.